Howdy, welcome to The Takeout, the movie edition of the lunch table.
Takeout.
That's right, it's that time again. Well, that time again this month, like it happens every month.
Call DoorDash because we're ready for takeout.
Ooh, I like that.
Grubhub.
Ooh, I like that even better.
Uber Eats.
Venmo me. Venmo, just me, all your money. So, let me hurry up, introduce who's around the table, because as we know for the takeout, we don't like to dilly-daddly all over the fucking intro. So we can hurry up and get into it. So, first, my right-hand man, the co-host himself, this amazing beatboxer. Now you know why I love his lips on my tip. Drew Watsonizer.
Hey, that's me.
Yeah, and as always, your host with the most, I don't know, spelling errors in his college papers.
Hey, that's you.
That's me, Carl Johns. Although, you know, any of those college professors that I turned in those papers had to look at it and go, how the fuck did he get here? And I was never there. All right, let's get into this movie. Howdy, welcome to The Takeout, the movie edition of the lunch table.
The takeout. Like the small little things you get to tide you over.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, is that just a fat man thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Usually if I get takeout, that's it. It's not to hold me over, it's to fill me up. But that's why I don't get fast food, because I hate eating fast food and then still being hungry. Well, I don't hate it. I love it too much.
Yeah.
And then I'll eat another burger.
Is a drive-through takeout? Because you're technically taking it out of the store.
I'm saying yes.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. Now, would it be...
Is delivery takeout? Because you're technically taking it out of the store.
I'm saying yes on all those. But I don't think it's what people mean when they say, let's get takeout.
Is DiGiorno technically considered takeout?
Yes.
No, it's not delivery. It's DiGiorno.
Yeah, but they never said not takeout. They just said not delivery. Let's see if I can get this to stay. This fucking thing.
So all the groceries that you have in your fridge are takeout?
Yes. Yes, or homegrown. I mean, they're from someone's home.
Okay, that wouldn't be takeout.
Homegrown?
Yeah.
If I had a picnic with my homegrown stuff, is that... Yeah, fix this for me. Audio guy, I need your help. Audio tech. This is what I get for fucking with my microphone. Oh, just like my dick.
Stop fucking with it.
I don't touch it, dude. I'll just move this, and then it gets all limp on me. See?
Jesus.
See? It gets limp. I know.
Oh my god.
I know. Well, while we're doing this, so usually the way we pick our movies, right? We roll a 100-sided die, do a little math trick, usually by dividing. And then that gives us a number, and we pick off of IMDb ratings.
Well, you may notice that we didn't do that this time.
That is true. We actually had somebody... They actually gave us a movie to watch. It was the first suggested movie we had from a viewer. So, neither of us got to pick this movie this month. I'm about to take this off.
Yes, but however, we are in a frame of mind that might last for a while now, to where we decide if people would like to suggest different movies that we should watch. We would totally be up to doing that instead of the way that we've been currently doing it. And if nobody suggests one, then we will default to the way that we have been doing it.
Yeah, that's the way I assumed it was going to work.
Right.
So yeah, if we have suggestions, we're going to do those over the roll.
Exactly.
So we had our first suggestion. Would you like to tell the people what we watched?
I'm sure I'm getting this wrong, and I'm sure I'm getting it right too in the same breath. Creep Show. Creep Show from 1982. Yes, I know, kids, that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
40-year-old movie. It definitely shows its age.
Yeah, it does. It does, but not horribly. Not horribly. I know, dude, this fucking thing. I'm about to take it off. There we go. We're just going to leave it. Technical fucking difficulties. But it does show its age a lot. But I think I really like the way they do the effects, even though it shows its age.
I don't mind them.
If that makes sense.
I'm not preferable to them.
So this movie is a little different too. Usually we would go straight into the review, hurry up, give a synopsis of what happened, and then go over what we enjoyed or didn't enjoy about the movie, said movie, and get into scenes and whatnot. But this is a little different because it was 5 stories in one.
Right.
They had 5 little separate stories all mashed into one. Obviously, from the name, you can sense that it's Halloween based. I wouldn't say they're scary.
No.
But they're quirky and dark.
They're almost like Goosebumps.
Yes, like an adult Goosebumps. Now, do you remember who directed the movie?
Rob, Bill, John.
I forget too. I forget who directed it.
He is a big name in horror.
Huge name. He actually, I couldn't wait to watch this because Stephen King actually helped write it.
He was in it too.
Yes, and he was in it. So, man, I forget the fuck us. Here we are doing a
right.
We should know. But him and the director, how this movie came to be, they hung out basically in New York. Oh, I don't have any of those.
Oh, give me your phone.
Oh, your phone. But they hung out in New York for the summer, and over the summer, as they hung out, they wrote a bunch of movies, and this is where Stephen King, a lot of his good movies, like big books, came from after this, and so did the director. Now,
George Romero,
that's what it is.
Yep.
So George Romero and Stephen King worked together on this.
Right. He is a big name in horror, like I had said before. A lot of people look up to him, and
yeah.
Although, coincidentally, I've never heard of any of his other movies.
No, I mean, I think
I probably might to hear them, but
yeah, I was gonna say I probably have if I looked up what movies, but off the top of my head, I do not remember. I can't think of one. So the way we're gonna break this down is we're gonna do little synopsis of each story, and then stop after each story and kind of break down what we did or didn't like about said story.
Night of the Living Dead.
Oh, there you go. Night of the Living Dead. That's huge. That's a huge one.
One of our favorite horror movies,
Halloween?
The Crazies.
Oh, The Crazy. Oh, that's a really good one. That's where they wear them pig masks, right?
I guess he wasn't the director. He was the producer of that one.
He probably still helped. Okay. So, let's go ahead and get into the review.
Right.
First off, is there any huge acting names in this?
There are 3 big ones and a couple other tertiary ones. One of the big ones from one specific. Again, since there's 5 different stories, people only really take place in one of the stories, so
Yes.
there's really no carryover. Ted Danson.
Dang.
Real big name. Silver Fox himself, Ted Danson.
Ted Danson.
Leslie Nielsen, guy from the Naked Gun movies.
Oh, okay. Is that the blonde guy?
No, that was the old guy that was opposite Ted Danson here.
Okay.
Ed Harris. He was the guy who he was in the Truman Show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Then Hadhel Gruel. God, my writing's so bad. Arion Barbro, Fritz Weaver, and Carrie Nye. All 4 of those ones, I guess they are big in their own rights, but I haven't been around film enough to know that they are big names. I mean, they have a lot under their belts.
Yeah.
And I've seen them in certain things, but literally nothing I can actually. The one was he was in Into the Wild, which
I mean, a lot of these actors. This is
they were
82.
probably big at their own time.
Right. This is 1982. They were probably big then, and by the time we grew up, started watching movies, we had our own stars and artists that we were
Right.
watching.
10 years before either of us were born.
Yes. Yeah, 10 years before I was born, for sure. So let's get into it. How does this movie start?
Starts off with a little kid in a fight with his dad.
Yes. And even as it first starts, it gives you this sense of a weird quirkiness. Like the whole time it's not taking itself totally serious.
Right.
So you're going to get good laughs actually through this movie.
Right.
But you're right. It starts off with the kid basically reading a comic book, his dad yelling at him.
Some of those were based on like our view on how bad things were.
Yeah.
So I don't know necessarily that they were bad back then.
True. Yeah, maybe back then it was more of a grab at you. It really
right. It would have been like it would have been a horror thriller, but I don't think that it would have been a comedy.
See, I think some of it would be, but we'll get into
yeah,
that.
But there's still different comedy in other horror movies that aren't labeled as comedy. Probably more than this.
True. But did they even label this as comedy?
Yeah, it's labeled as comedy horror.
Okay, that makes sense to me because there's a couple areas where it's like you could tell that they were purposely just trying to make jokes.
You know what this reminded me of was Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Okay, I don't know if I've ever seen that.
Just the kind of aesthetic of it. And I've watched a lot bits and pieces, but never like the whole thing all together. But yeah.
Yeah, there was like a TV show that used to come on when I was younger. My grandma would love to watch and had a skeleton like as a host. And it would be all these short, scary stories, exactly like how this movie is. And I don't know if they based that TV show off of movies like this, but that's what it always reminds me of, is just watching them old TV shows where they would like Goosebumps,
right?
But a little bit more adult themed. But it starts off with the kid getting yelled at by his dad, and basically
looking at comic books.
For looking at comic books. Now it is
horror
evil
comic book.
Yeah, it is evil comic books. But after they get into a fight, you basically hear the kid wish that his dad would get dragged to hell.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, the kid's staring out his window, and there's like a Grim Reaper skeleton. And then he starts smiling creepily. He's not scared. He's just smiling at it. And then it stops and actually gets into our first story or clip.
But I kind of like the way that they did this, and I really didn't understand it at the beginning, but at the end, it totally makes sense here. What they do is it's actually comics in the comic book is what the stories are supposed to be.
Yep.
That's why there's like 5 different ones they're trying to
make
it
like
seem
he's
like
reading,
a story. Yeah.
Right, like he's reading through his comic.
Right.
Yeah. And it was very interesting. They even mixed, when the title comes in, they mix some animation in, which I thought was a really cool way to distinguish between stories. Like, you know it's over because they kind of go cartoony, then it goes to the comic book, flips the page, get into the next story.
Yeah, but there's no chill in between stories. Though.
No.
Stories go immediately into the next one.
Immediately into the next one.
Like it's
boom, done.
It's not like your high school singing concert to where there's an intermission or whatever. It like directly into the next one.
Next one. And a lot of the way these end, you don't expect, and it's very quirky.
Right.
Which makes me sad because I don't want to give the ending to any of these away. But that's some of the best thing about some of these stories.
But funny though, a lot of them are very predictable.
Yeah. Oh, for
Maybe
sure.
it's just the nature that we're in now, to where we're like trying to guess what's going to happen. But yeah, you kind of see something coming.
Well, I think the big difference in that is now a lot of people have a lot more liberty with how they write a movie and storytelling. I feel like it doesn't follow as much of a straight line as back then did. They pretty much said, "Hey, if we're going to make a movie, here's how it's going."
Right.
You know, where now they can kind of jump around and go everywhere, especially with the special effects really help out.
Yeah.
So let's get into our first story here. They get into our first story. We meet
Father's Day.
Yes. Which I don't know if any of the titles actually popped up.
Yeah, they did.
Did they?
In the animated kind
in the animated part. I was gonna say because you told me. I remember you looking it up and told me which ones they were.
Right.
But Father's Day. So Father's Day starts out with a bunch of rich people hanging out in a mansion. Obviously, family. They're all waiting on their aunt. They're all talking about this crazy aunt.
Bedelia.
Bedelia. It instantly gets into they all owe an aunt a favor. They get together every Father's Day with this aunt for a reason. And as they break down into it, basically, someone there has a husband who doesn't know the story of the family.
Right.
So they explain to him the story.
Yep.
How the story goes is the aunt had a father who was a douchebag.
Right.
Real big dick.
Real rich douchebag.
He had all the money.
Right.
And he basically abused this daughter.
Right. He kept her under his thumb.
Yes. Ended up killing her husband in a fake hunting accident.
Right.
So it then fast forwards to the old man asking the aunt to make a cake for Father's Day.
Yep.
And it just keeps going back to this old man.
Where's
slamming
my
his cane.
cake?
Yeah.
Where's my cake?
Which I would have killed the motherfucker too. You know, if he acted like that, I would have killed that motherfucker too. It would have not bothered me. But so we get to the point where he's yelling, screaming for the cake, you know, being real ridiculous. And obviously the aunt ends up not taking any of his shit and killing him. Beats him over the head with like an ashtray, I think it.
Yep, marble ashtray.
Then it goes back to the guest, you know, as they tell their story. And as they end, it zooms in on the aunt driving in.
Yep.
And she's all over the driveway. You can tell that she's hammered, driving crazy. When she stops, she even squeals the brakes. You know, makes noise about it. When she shows up, they say she's going to be late to dinner. She always shows up at 6 on the dot. On the dot. She is never late. They say you can actually set your clock to her. Shows up at 6. She goes to her father's grave, meditates for an hour. Then she comes in for dinner.
Yep, they have a ham dinner and then away they split.
As she's sitting at her father's grave, basically calling him an asshole and all kinds of things and feeling all this guilt and getting it off her chest, she starts hearing a voice yell, "Where's my cake? Where's my cake?" Which nowadays sounds really gross that he's saying that to his daughter. You know?
Give me that cake, baby.
Yeah, cake got a little different meaning nowadays, sir.
Cake by the ocean.
Yes. Yep, cake by the ocean. So, as she's hearing this, she slowly thinks she's freaking out. Next thing you know, a hand pops out of the grave.
Her father's grave.
Her father's grave.
The one that she killed.
For cake. So he pops out of the grave.
When I reach for cake, I get in trouble.
Well, so did he. He died because of it. So he pops out of the grave, obviously kills the aunt, chokes her. The worst death scene I've ever seen. She just kind of lays there, doesn't even act like she dies. Yeah, like the worst, like, she gave a half-ass effort there. She's like, I'm dying. Then she's dead. And more ensues, and obviously the zombie goes on to hunt down the rest of the family inside.
Hey, when daddy wants his cake, sometimes you gotta choke a bitch.
Yes.
That's a mantra I live by. That's why I'm fat.
So he goes, eventually, one by one, he kills the rest of the people. There was a nephew there.
Spoiler!
Yeah, I guess. But he goes and he starts killing them one by one. You got the nephew who dies. You have
the maid,
the aunt, or, well, I guess the sister of the aunt.
No, it would have been the niece of the
aunt. So
of the crazy lady at the beginning.
Okay, so the great nephew died.
Yeah.
The great niece died. Her regular niece died. And, you know, he just goes and kills everyone, basically. Would you, like... Do we want to give how it exactly ends away or no?
No.
Okay. Because even though they die, you got to watch how they die. Because everyone, like, it's so weird. Everybody's dying from, like, things that you wouldn't have to use a lot of tech for, you know, like special effects.
Right.
Except the one that we're talking about. And then it comes out of nowhere and it's real crazy. So if you get a chance, watch it. Let's break this story down. Drew, what was anything you didn't like about this story, the first one?
No, there wasn't much to it. It was pretty short.
Yeah, short and sweet. That's
Yeah.
what I liked about it.
I guess that they were trying to get the ball rolling with a quick one and trying to get it off. And it is catchy. I mean,
is.
you and I watched it twice.
Yeah. Yeah, we did watch it twice.
That was due to technical difficulties. But, I mean, when we watched it the second time, there wasn't a point where I was like, oh, my God, we got to watch this again. Like, it was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I think everybody in the first story did pretty good acting besides the one choking scene.
There were annoying parts. The guy screaming, "Where's my cake?"
Very
200 times
Yeah.
during the whole thing.
It made you really want him to die.
Or maybe it was just because we watched it twice and it was really only 100 times. But
Right. But he's sitting there slamming his cane off the chair, and it's the most annoying thing.
right,
I really like the graphics that they did for the memory scene. So when they go back to the flashbacks, they actually just like put a border around the screen of like, I don't know, cartoon effects of horror things. And I really liked it. Instead of having like a haze to the film or something.
right.
I thought it was just kind of quirky and unique. Another thing that I really liked about this story was the husband that is dating the great niece.
Right.
The way he lights every match. The first one he flicks to light it. He just flicks it with his finger, lights it. The next one he's like hanging on the outside of the building with his back against it, and he just pulls one out of his pocket and scrapes it behind him off the building to light it. Like, they put so much effort into how he fucking flicked his matches. Thing I didn't like, his scream when he died. So there's this scene where like he's looking for the old lady that never came.
Yeah, the great aunt.
The great aunt. I don't know why he's the one looking, but he's walking around looking. Ends up going into a graveyard. Falls into an empty grave. And then you see this huge headstone keep inching towards him. And he just lays there, making faces. Not screaming, just making weird faces.
And then the great aunt's body rolls on top of him. Still doesn't
Still
scream.
doesn't scream. And the whole time, Drew and I are laughing at this point. Looking at ourselves like, why isn't this guy screaming?
The tombstone shifts, no scream. Tombstone shifts again, no scream. Tombstone shifts again, no scream.
The zombie shows up.
Yeah, no scream.
Then, right as the thing falls, right before it falls on him, he lets out the most pathetic fucking scream. Oh, oh. And it's like, oh, no wonder why they didn't want the motherfucker to scream. But other than that, I like the way they did the zombie in that one. Really, I think for what they had, yeah, it looked like a suit. But I would kill to go in that as Halloween. Like, if there was a suit like that for Halloween, I would buy it.
Yeah.
You know, and even from the first story, you figure out they set a lot of emotion with lighting. They use a lot of lighting, a lot of red and blue lighting to set emotions in this, especially scary bits. But so that story ends. What's our next story it gets into?
The Lonesome Death of Jordy Verrill.
Oh,
By far my favorite
by
one.
far the best one.
Features Stephen King.
Yes, who is hilarious.
Hilarious. CJ didn't even notice him, like, until I told him, hey, that's Stephen King.
Right. Usually he looks a lot nerdier. As funny as it is, he's real redneck.
Yeah, real redneck.
Super
Like
redneck.
a farmer.
Yeah. His first line, you could tell that this was going to be the best story because even the first line when it starts is gold.
What was it?
Oh, it's something like, holy Jesus something. It's like, holy Jesus, an asteroid. Holy Jesus. I just remember that part. It cracked me up.
I think that I can make some money off of this thing. I'm going to take it and sell it for $200. No more, no less.
Yeah, he's like, I'll take it to the college and I can sell it. And he's thinking of $200. You know, that's the big money, $200.
We're jumping ahead.
We are. So, obviously it starts, and you see an asteroid crash into the ground. This is where the farmer runs out, says a holy Jesus line. The farmer then runs down touch the asteroid.
Yeah.
You can tell from the beginning he is not that smart of a man.
Right.
So he goes to touch the asteroid, and obviously it burned his finger because it just came from space. He messes around with it. He ends up having daydreams about selling it and paying off loans for $200. You get to see him at the college talking to the professor. It's pretty funny. It's hilarious. After he gets this idea, he goes, well, if I'm going to sell it, I'm going to have to cool down this asteroid. He ends up getting a bucket of water, throws it on the asteroid. The asteroid ends up cracking in half when he throws the water on it. As it cracks in half, you see all this goo leap out, like inside the asteroid, like it's an egg. He ends up dumping the goo out, keeping the asteroid. Then he goes back inside to watch some wrestling. As he's watching these wrestlers, you see him open up a beer, sucking on his finger because he has blisters all over his finger where he touched the hot asteroid. Then he ends up falling. I think he ends up falling asleep. After he falls asleep, he wakes up and he notices there's grass or a plant growing
Some
on his
green.
finger. Some green growing on his finger where he touched the asteroid. Obviously he's freaking out. He starts telling himself, holy crap, you done it this time. You're an idiot. Basically calling himself stupid and realizing that what he did wasn't smart. He catches on real quick that this shit's spreading down his arm and everywhere where he's touching. Then he remembers, oh shit, I've been sucking on my finger.
So he goes into the bathroom and checks his tongue, only to find out that his tongue is green now.
Yes. And it keeps showing outside. So as he's getting more and more mold or grass or whatever it is on him, it keeps showing outside where he dumped all the juice of the asteroid. And outside's getting more and more mossy and overgrown with grass, and just living green is taking over.
Right.
And as it does that, it flickers between him and the outside. And every time it goes back to him, he'll have more and more grass on him.
He's been touching his face, so it grows on his face. He's been touching his legs and clothing, so it grows on there. He's been touching different pieces of furniture, and it grows on that.
Now, some of you might ask, well, why not call the doctors or something like that? And at one point, he thought about it, but then it goes back into his mind. It goes back into a little play where he's thinking of, what would happen if I called the doctors? And in his little mind, he thinks, oh, if I call the doctors, they're going to have to amputate my fingers and all these. So he chooses not to call anyone.
Right.
Here, you see him scrambling. He's almost all covered. He's freaking out. He's scrambling. He's throwing things all over the kitchen, trying to find something. Next thing you know, he pulls out a huge bottle of vodka. That's what he was looking for. And he dumps it into a whole gallon of orange juice.
Dude makes himself a screwdriver. Fucking nice style.
And he just chugs the whole thing, ends up passing out.
Right.
When he wakes up, this time he's fully covered. You can't tell where he is.
Looks like a goddamn Grinch, as you said.
Yeah, the whole time he gets more and more grass. He does look Grinchy.
Yeah.
He basically has a whole ghillie suit on at this point, laying down. You can't tell where he is in the house. He wakes up. You see him moving, and he's just basically screaming, please God, kill me. And that's where our story ends.
Well, he wants to go take a bath, too.
That's true.
And then he looks in the mirror of the bath, and he sees his dead dad. And his dead dad goes, what are you doing? Are you going to go take a bath? They want the water, and you're just going to give it to him? So he falls face first into the water.
Right, basically trying to kill himself. And without giving anything away, we'll say that's where it ends. Bang. Explaining this is too simple.
Right.
To really get the gravitas and really get the comedy of the moment, you have to watch it, because most of the comedy comes from Stephen King's facial expressions. I couldn't believe how well he acted in that to make you laugh.
Right.
Because it was really all him. It was just him by himself.
Yep.
And the way he just reacted to everything was funny.
Speaking of, now that I'm kind of looking at the notes here, I noticed that, none of the stories are really that lengthy of the things that go on. And of course, I'm really only hitting the main high points, but like none of them are really something that you have to invest in.
No.
They're just good to watch.
Yeah, I think that's what makes it fun.
Yeah.
Because even though it's probably not the best writing or anything, it's enough writing for you to follow the story and get invested.
Right.
Without caring too much. To ask like these little questions like, oh, well, why didn't he blah? Or why would he wake up for to eat his cake? You didn't really give a shit.
Right.
And I feel like they did a really good job with everybody we watched making connections quickly. So we kind of knew how they felt about one another, how they were connected. They really built bonds quick.
Yeah.
It was really surprising what they did with such little time in each episode. They get you invested. But you were right. They did a phenomenal job. Like I would recommend this to anybody. Not that it's going to be a Golden Globe winning thing or even become your favorite, but it's just fun. We had fun watching this.
Right.
What was your favorite thing about the Stephen King?
Definitely his lines, man. Hilarious.
Did you write any down?
No, I did not write any down.
Is there any in your mind that you...
No, they were just so off the wall. And everything he says is comedy gold.
Yes.
Literally he calls himself an idiot at one point.
Yep.
Anybody watch Supernatural, they know that like Bobby Singer says that, and it's hilarious when he's...
He calls himself a lughead.
Dad, you've been dead for 4 years now.
Yeah, you've been dead for 4 years now, Dad. Worth watching. Even if you skip the rest of them, at least watch that.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything that you hated about that story?
It doesn't... I would have liked them all to be connected to the same universe. Like, just have, like, a different thing happen. But at the... I guess I can't really say that. There's something that happens at the end that stops it from being connected to any of the other ones.
Okay.
And that's the thing I didn't like.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I feel that. I understand that. To me, I kind of like that they're not connected. They were just individual stories, so that doesn't bother me so much. I think the thing that I just couldn't get over was it wasn't scary. That's not something I've ever feared, something grown on me like that. But more importantly, I don't feel like I could have fell for it that hard just because the suit reminded me of the Grinch so fucking hard. So it was like an up and down because like it made me laugh because I'm thinking of the Grinch the whole time. Like, oh, this is how the Grinch came to be.
Right.
But at the same point, it's supposed to be like something to make you worry. Okay, let's get on to the next one because we still got a couple stories here.
Super serious one. This third one, middle one. It's called Something to Tide You Over.
Something to tide you over. Okay, well, how does it start, Drew?
There's this guy who visits his ex-wife's new boyfriend and says, you have to come with me because I've kidnapped her.
Yeah, but it starts out with this dude knocking on the door. You find out his ex-husband, dealing with the new husband.
Leslie Nielsen, dealing with Ted Danson.
There you go. He tries to get into the door. The dude shuts the door on his foot. The one guy basically says, the new husband says, hey, I can bench 300 pounds. Get your foot out of the door. Then he basically says, you're going to want to hear what I have to say. Walks around his room and pulls out a tape recorder. That's where you find out his wife has been taken by this man.
Right.
Yep.
The X-Men.
Where do they go from there?
Together they get in the ex's car and they drive to the beach. Because that is where he has her kidnapped.
Yeah, kidnapped.
And Ted Danson's character goes, well, where is she? So the guy points over to the beach and you see a mound of sand and a shovel. So evidently he's identifying that he has buried her in the sand and he has to do that.
Right. It looks like a big old grave.
Right.
Yep. So after that, they go ahead and walk down to the spot. They instantly notice, oh, the wife's not there.
Right.
The ex pulls out a gun, forces the guy to get into the hole, buries him up to his neck, then he starts explaining his plan.
He monologues like a motherfucker.
Oh, this one drug a little bit for me because of how much the guy monologued about the same shit.
Right.
I felt like they definitely made this the longest.
I can't take Leslie Nielsen as a serious
Yes.
type of thing, like, especially in a bad being a villain or a like horror character. I'm so used to him like
Right.
being funny.
Yeah, being a super... someone you don't take serious at all.
I kept thinking like the next frame he's going to be like in a bubble bath with a rubber ducky or some shit like that.
Right, like on Airplane.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he monologues a bunch. And here you find out that the wife is on a different part of the beach.
Right. He drops a TV monitor in front of him and it shows the wife buried on a different part of the beach.
Yep.
Doing the exact same thing, waiting for the tide to come in to drown them.
And as he's watching her, wherever she is, the tide's already coming in. So
Right,
he's
it's a
watching
little
her.
higher.
She's already starting to drown. Obviously, the ex leaves the new husband to drown. The water comes in. As the husband is drowning, he goes... Super Saiyan is the only way I can explain it. He gets this red aura around him. His hair stands up.
Right.
Like, legitimately, he goes Super Saiyan.
Yeah.
Then it goes to the ex's house. You see that he's finally back home. He feels safe. You see that he has cameras all over his house. He's wearing a necklace that looks like a woman's. It's one of those just necklaces that have like a line of diamonds. Just a straight line of diamonds. Looks so like a woman necklace. Eventually, he starts hearing noises. Dum dum dum. All of a sudden, the people you thought was dead may or may not be.
May or may not be. Don't give too much away.
What ended there? It's so little, it's hard not to.
Right. My favorite part about this one is it had a very law-abiding citizen feel to it. You know that movie? Forget the guy who's in it. Gerard Butler.
Yeah, Gerard Butler.
But he has everything really planned out until the point where he doesn't.
Yeah. It crumbles really quick.
Yeah.
It goes from, you're waiting for some horror magic to happen.
Yeah.
The whole time you're watching this, because everything else obviously had zombies, had a grass monster. So you're like waiting for this craziness to happen.
Right.
And it doesn't for a long time. And it doesn't even allude to it.
Fun fact, though. I have told people this many, many times before. And this is still the reason why Annabelle scares the shit out of me. I am most scared of things that can happen in real life. I don't believe in ghosts. I don't think ghosts can happen. I don't believe in aliens. I don't think aliens can happen. Fucking serial killers.
Yes.
Serial killers that break into your house in the middle of the night and kill you in your bed.
Yep.
Real things that can happen.
Take you from the window.
A growing space monster is not something that I worry about. A zombie coming back from the dead is not something I worry about. Somebody legitimately kidnapping you and burying you and torturing you, that can fucking happen.
Yeah. And that would be a horrible way to go. Not only you're drowning, but you're in the tide, so you got forever to think about till you're going.
Right.
And you're fighting for breath the entire time.
Yeah.
You're going to be trying to survive. So I agree with you. It was the most realistic. We'll use that lightly one. It's probably the most realistic one. I think it drug on a little bit just because they ran around in circles for a while with the dialogue. Like that being so short, there was not much to push. So I feel like they made it lengthy because here's some of our bigger actors. We got to give them more screen time.
Right.
And this was one of the lines or stories that they think that they could have handled better. Other than that, I really didn't have an issue with this one. It was probably my least favorite. But even saying that, it wasn't bad.
Right.
But see, to me, I was watching this. It had a bunch of magic, horror magic, as I call it, like demons and all that. And I was following along, and I really liked the campiness and the playfulness of it. And then that one, the tone really seemed to change. It wasn't as funny. And then when the horror magic does come in, like you said, it feels out of nowhere. Because it's not like they really build it up somehow.
Right.
So, that would probably be my biggest issue with it. Other than that, it was alright. That was an alright story for me. So, what was our next one?
Number 4 is The Crate.
Oh, actually, I didn't mind this one.
This one is my least favorite one. And this is one that's probably the most complicated out of all of them.
Yes. And so this movie starts out, you meet
Janitor. Janitor finds a crate.
Is that how it starts?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. So it starts out with the janitor first, and he ends up finding a crate.
Janitor finds a crate from 140 years ago, something like that, from an Antarctic expedition. And on the side of it, it says, deliver to this doctor professor.
Yes. So he goes ahead and calls the main professor,
Right.
which that's not the same guy's name on it. He just calls the new professor who then runs the school.
Yep.
Or whatever they're working. Is it a school?
I think it's a college, yeah.
Yeah.
University.
So he runs the main lab in university. The janitor gives this man a call. And that's where his scene kind of ends. It gets into where our professor is. Our professor's having some type of dinner party.
Right.
This is where you meet the professor, his best friend, I'm assuming,
Right.
and then his best friend's wife,
Right.
who is a loudmouth drunk who does nothing but basically emotionally abuse her husband.
Right.
So they make it real quick, you know.
The husband or the best friend of this one guy is most definitely a pushover.
Mm-hmm. But you see, like, even real early, because they have little time to do this, she's being a real cunt.
Yeah.
Like, boom, from the get-go, you could tell no one likes her. The rest of the crowd's asking, why is she even here, type deal.
Right.
Anyways, eventually, as the best friend and the professor are talking, they're talking about some chess game. The professor gets interrupted from this said phone call.
Right.
Goes, answers the phone call. He believes that it's probably just some National Geographics or something like that. The janitor says, hey, I don't think so. This box is from 100 and some years ago.
Right.
Piques his interest. Now the professor is back at the college with the janitor.
Yeah. But the best friend is having daydreams the entire time about different ways that he can kill his wife.
Yes. So the whole time, now this is where the story kind of splits into two. It goes back to the best friend and his wife, and it will focus on the professor for a little bit. As these two things are going on, then the story merges again. As Drew already said, when it breaks up, the main thing between the best friend and his wife is he's thinking about killing her.
Right.
So you know he's not very happy. We go to the janitor and the professor. They now have the box out. They decided, let's tear this box, get it up on a desk, and let's see if we can open it.
Right.
When they get the box up there, this crate, they think they hear something inside of it, but then they're like, no, there's no way anything could be living in there
140 years.
without being able to move, eat anything, drink anything. No
Right.
way is anything alive.
Right.
So the janitor decides, let me get my tools and we'll crack this son of a bitch open.
Right.
Right there and then, I told Drew, bad move. Dude ends up getting his tools to crack the motherfucker open. First thing that happens, a bunch of dust flies in the face of the janitor. I thought this was going to be a curse movie.
Cha-cha-cha, pocket sand.
Yeah, cha-cha-cha, pocket sand. I thought that would, like, you know, he was going to inhale something and be taken over. But no, that's not how it goes.
No, that's Egyptian.
Yeah, that's Egyptian. I fucked up. But that's not how it goes. He opens the box, thinks he hears something moving in there. Well, once again, the professor's like, no way can anything be moving in there. Then he goes, oh, something shiny, and sticks his whole fucking arm in the box.
Right. Gemstone of some kind.
Something, I don't know. No one says anything shiny about the box again.
This is the one point where I was just so predictable. You stick your hand in a 140-year-old box that you think you hear some noises coming through. Your arm gets eaten.
And, you know, this is, when you were saying earlier, maybe it's the age of the movie, why it's so easily predictable. Because I remember me and you both were like, oh, okay, yeah, we figured that was going to happen. But your mom watched this with us. And your mom jumped at that moment. She wasn't prepared for it. I remember she actually made, So she wasn't prepared for it. Me and you both.
Yeah,
Okay,
we called it.
like-
We watched too many horror movies to not know.
Like you sticking your hand in somewhere you can't see. It better be the sacrificial hand.
Right.
But
That's
obviously,
your left.
unless you're left-handed,
Then it's still your left.
that is still your left.
Beta left-handies.
So, obviously, a guy's arm gets bitten off. He dies. It looks like some type of monkey thing that's eating him.
Well, yeah, the box falls off the table and gets to a point where the janitor's leaning up against it, and the lid opens, and he gets pulled inside and eaten.
Yeah.
My take on it, because it's from Antarctica, or Arctic, or whatever they said, and it looks like one. I think it's a Yeti.
Once you said that, I agree with you. I do believe that they're trying to portray a Yeti.
Yeah.
But when I first saw it, it looked like a lighter baboon. It looked like a brown baboon.
Of course, glowing yellow eyes, sharp teeth, claws that slash you.
Yeah, all the things a movie monster would need.
Right.
After the janitor dies, the professor obviously books it out of there. Freaks out.
Well, kind of. He like,
Yeah. For
everybody. Oh, now I need to run.
Everybody stands around for like 20 minutes before they do anything, like in shock, to the point where you're like, okay, this is a little too long. Someone would have reacted by now.
Right.
That is something you have to deal with in every story. But they do make it funny. Like, his face was hilarious. I don't know if we were supposed to be shocked because of it, but the face he made was funny. He ends up running. Ends up getting to a different part of the college. Earlier, him and his best friend were talking about a young college kid who's 19 and probably will win the Nobel Peace Prize before he's 20.
Motherfucker looks 45.
He runs into him, yes, at the college. Motherfucker's got a receding hairline.
He's got an 800 credit score.
Dude, seriously, whoever they cast, he was a 40-year-old man. So when he ran into this kid, I didn't even realize it was that kid for a moment. Eventually, he tells the kid about this thing that killed the janitor. The kid goes downstairs with them to the lab. Then he thinks, oh shit, the monkey's gone. So the kid believes the professor just killed everybody.
Right.
Here, they end up finding a blood trail. It goes under the stairs. The kid ends up grabbing a wrench, decides, let me go look at this box. Well, he ends up not fucking making it either. Because he just had to be really curious about this box and only go in there with a wrench. Gets fucked up. After he gets
slashed, his face is slashed, his
Oh, yeah.
throat is slashed, everything.
He gets fucked up. After that happens, obviously, the professor gets away again.
Well, that body's eaten too.
Yeah.
Up to 2 bodies that are eaten in the box.
Yes. Well, got pulled into it. We don't know if they're gone yet or what.
Oh, they have to be eaten.
They have to.
Funny, the Yeti can't be without the box.
Yeah, there's something.
It has to be in it. It has to be like a Jack in the Box almost.
Yeah, there's something with the box because the creature drags the box with him everywhere
Right.
he goes. So there is a connection between the monster and the box somehow.
Right.
So our professor once again gets away somehow. Runs to his best friend's house. Freaks out. Tells his best friend everything. As he's going through and calming down and telling the story, his best friend ends up drugging him to make him pass out.
Yeah.
You then see his best friend write a note, leave his house, go to the lab, start cleaning up all the blood.
Fucking great best friend.
Amazing best friend. The wife ends up getting home later because the best friend and the professor were supposed to be playing chess, so she left to go do what she said classes. Obviously, she comes back home. She was drunk as could be.
Right.
Another alcoholic. She gets the note. She finds a note that was left for her, reads it. It says that the best friend the professor has been having problems with young girls.
Well, yeah, ever since his wife died.
Now, there's no indication of it, so this kind of comes out of the blue when they're telling you this. It says that he had to go to the lab because the professor is frantic, couldn't tell the story, yada yada. Basically,
hurt a young girl,
and then the ending of the letter asked for the wife to come to the lab.
Right. I say you leave that one there.
Okay, so to come to the lab, and then we'll leave it there. We'll leave it for you guys to figure out what happens when she gets there. Parts that you didn't like.
A lot of the whole thing. This was one of the weaker stories for me. The whole situation with the box and what I'm gonna call a Yeti, but it might be a Jack in the Box now that I think about it.
Right, I don't know what it is.
There's a lot of mystery steeped in it, and I understand that's part of the horror genre to where the unknown.
Yeah, it's supposed to be scary.
But all the other ones up until this point have done a fairly well job of explaining pretty quickly different things, where this is just like, yeah, nah.
Yeah. Here it is. Deal with it. It's kind of like, here's reality. Fucking deal with it.
Right.
Yeah. I like the best friend part. I thought that was cool because as they were doing everything, one of the lines that they always said during that story was, what else is a friend for?
Right.
You know? And it made me laugh because it made me think of me and you. and then I was thinking, what a bro to go and clean up the fucking lab after he thinks, like, he fucking killed a girl.
Right.
Like, to hide the body. What a fucking bro.
Yeah, I know my best friend just murdered somebody, but I'm going to go help them. Not even help them clean up. I'm going to go clean up.
Yeah. I don't even care if he did it, like, if he cleaned up or not. I'm going to clean up the whole fucking thing.
Right. And this is one of the parts that we don't get to, but disposes of things.
Yes. Yeah. And he does get rid of said evidence very well. Using the professor's idea that they talked about earlier, as funny as that is. I thought I like this one. It wasn't my favorite. Obviously, I already said my favorite.
Yeah.
We both did. I like the monster genres a little bit. I think my biggest problem with this was just his wife's character was a little overbearing to deal with.
One of my favorite things, speaking of that, is one of his dreams of killing his wife, where he just walks up to her and BAM!
Yeah.
Shoots her in the forehead.
In the middle of the party.
Yeah.
By the way, when they're going through and doing these little daydreams, at first, they don't make it look like a daydream. So you think
it looks like
he
it just
shot his
continues.
fucking wife in the middle of the fucking party, and then everybody starts clapping.
Yeah.
Then it flashes. Obviously, he would do that. Yeah, it does. It keeps you. It tries to keep you on your toes. It doesn't do the best job of that. Besides those little bit of scenes, other than that, I feel like that story is very predictable, and the ending, how it ends, is nowhere near as jarring as all the other ones. All the other ones kind of end in a way where it's like, wow. This one just kind of ends.
Yeah.
And that brings us to our last story, right?
They're creeping up on you.
Okay, so this one reminded me of working for pest control.
Yeah, I don't do a lot of bugs.
Yes.
Like a wasp here or there, or one single bug coming through. Man, there was a movie on, it was a TV show, ABCs of Death, and one of the ones was arachnophobia.
Oh
man, I had to turn that fucking episode off. I couldn't fucking watch it, man. I'm not normally scared of spiders. Like, we had a giant spider come through here just a little bit ago, and I was just like, "Oh, cool, a spider."
Yeah, until we sat down, you didn't know where it went.
Yeah. I mean, that's fear of the unknown, not a fear of the spider.
Oh, okay. However you want to justify it. However you need to justify it, bud. So this story starts out with a scientist spraying a fucking roach.
Right. Rich dude in his command center.
Yeah, I guess he wasn't a scientist. At first, I thought he was like working on a bug spray.
It's his fucking house.
But it's his house.
It's his house.
He's a hypochondriac.
Yep.
Figure that out real early. Doesn't like to touch anything. Figure out he's an asshole.
Yeah.
Real quick. One of the first things you learn about him was one of the people working for him end up killing themselves. The wife of the person who killed themselves calls him, basically tells him he's an asshole, and that's the reason why the person killed themselves.
And he has no fucking remorse. He's like, now I don't need to fire him because he's fucking dead.
Yeah. He asked the lady, where did you get my personal number? In my husband's black book or whatever. And he's like, well, now I don't need to fire him. Can't fire him.
Awesome.
Boss is a big old douchebag. Well, obviously this hypochondriac has problems with roaches.
Right.
Nasty insects. The whole time he's in his house, he keeps seeing a little bit more and a little bit more of these cockroaches. Gets on the phone, yells, screams at somebody. Where's the main desk guy? He's on vacation. Calls the guy on vacation. Basically tells him to get fucking home or solve his problem. It's 10 at night. He wants a fucking exterminator right now.
Right.
You meet the guy. Some other guy ends up knocking on his door. I think he's the guy who's in charge as the other fellas on vacation. Tells him, hey, I got to fix a shower. The fastest I can get a pest control guy here is at 11:30.
Right.
He says, okay, whatever, we'll take it.
You do know that it is night. You can see out the window, and it is nighttime. So 11:30 at night.
Right.
Being a pest control guy, have you ever had to go out at 11:30 at night for an emergency pest control problem?
Never. Never. I don't know. They're paying this guy good money.
Yeah.
I've never seen now early I have, because like a lot of restaurants and stuff want you there before people. And some companies will do that, not for emergency though, but what they'll do is like if they are going to spray restaurants, since a lot of them don't want you to be seen there, usually go after they're closed. Now sometimes people would do that at midnight or 11 o'clock.
Huh.
We never did. We basically told them, hey, we got to work during these hours or spraying during these hours.
Do it in this time.
Do it in this time. So whoever is coming, he paid him a pretty penny.
Right.
But as we go, obviously the cockroaches keep increasing. He goes to make himself some food with a blender. I don't even know what the fuck he's making in that blender. Some brown nasty goop. Starts eating it, notices the roaches are in there.
Well, now it's chunky brown goop.
Yeah, now it's chunky brown goop. Realizes roaches are in his food, in his cabinet, everywhere, and he's freaking out.
Right.
That's really all I'm going to give away during this story, because the rest of it is pretty much the ending.
Right.
The main story is a hypochondriac who's an asshole dealing with these roaches.
Right.
And that's pretty much the gist. How it ends, if you want to see that, go ahead. I'll get into what I thought was really neat about this story. Was all those cockroaches you saw had to be live cockroaches. And there was a point his whole house was filled.
Damn.
You know, back then they didn't edit that shit in.
Right.
So
that's not CGI.
So somebody's job was to go get crates and crates full of these German fucking cockroaches to use for that scene.
Damn.
Think about that. Used for that fucking scene. Now, how did you feel about the ending story?
It was okay.
A good one to end on? You think that was a strong one?
Again, dude, bugs are just a thing. I would have preferred no bug stories at all. I get why it's scary and things like that. But, like, at the beginning, if it would have been one of the first stories, then, like, it would have ruined the whole set of the movie for me. So, I mean, if there was one, I was glad that it was at the end.
Yeah.
So,
from what I've heard, a lot of people, that's the one they find the most disturbing. And it's mainly because of the insects.
Right.
Even though nothing really gross happens with the insects.
Well,
I mean, I guess my level of gross and yours is too different. When we were sitting there watching that story, and he had his whole house kind of flooded with the roaches, I remember telling you. Well, I said more and more roaches come. It gets flooded. I remember telling you, like, hey, I've been in houses like that. And you just gave me a look, and I'm like, yeah, that's not a joke. There will be that many in a house, easily. I remember, like, you'll spray under a fridge or something where they're hiding. Thousands will just pour out. Just thousands. You're like, how are they even hiding under there? They would die. They would be crawling on the ceiling and dying because of the spray. So they're trying to get away, but they're dying as they get away. And they would rain on you. You'd have to, like I said, check your clothes, make sure no dead roaches. Or there were some buildings I'd come out and I'd have a roach on me. You'd have to figure out how to dispose of it without anyone seeing.
Jeez.
Oh, dude, they're bad. They're nasty little creatures.
One of my favorite parts is that you can actually, like, hear the inflation of money from 1982 to 2022. This guy has a very, very nice penthouse, big city. I'm going to guess New York City.
Yeah, top floor.
Yeah. The guy says that he has something to do on, like, the 27th floor or something like that. So you know this guy has to be higher than that.
Right.
Completely custom. Like, there's a whole control panel board, and
Old
the
school
door,
computer.
yeah, like the door has a viewport with a microphone and things, and the bedroom is hermetically sealed. Like, this is a custom job.
Yeah.
This guy said that he paid $2,200 a month.
That ain't shit.
Not anymore.
That ain't shit.
Dude, you can have fuck, when I was in...
Not for a penthouse.
When I was in fucking Chicago, my 900 square foot apartment almost cost that much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this dude got a fucking penthouse.
So I did the math now.
Yeah.
It's actually like 10 grand
Oh my god.
in today's standard.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, there was that part where the janitor dropped a quarter, and that's why he ended up looking where he looked to find a crate. And you remember he said, like, oh, I would just leave it there, but that's my last quarter for the pop machine.
Yeah.
You asked your mom.
Yeah. How much could a quarter get you in 1982?
She's like, a lot.
Left
Like
it at
everything.
that.
Just left it at that, like everything. Like a quarter back then went a lot further.
Right.
What does a quarter get you now? Even half those little slot things that you'd put a quarter in, turn it,
Yeah,
give you
now
like a
they're
ring.
50 cents.
Now they're 50 to 75 cents.
Yeah.
So when I worked at
A gumball, maybe?
maybe one of those nasty sour ones that are hard as rock.
Right.
When I worked at one of the restaurants that served older people all the time, a breakfast restaurant. When I worked there, a lot of the older people would take up...
Robert Evans.
Yeah, Robert Evans. A lot of people would come, get coffee, take up your seat for like 2 hours drinking coffee, then tip you maybe a quarter. And I remember, like, I almost every time I wanted to find a dude and give him their quarter back because it wouldn't even buy me a pack of fucking bubble gum. You're
Right.
tipping me an amount that won't even get me gum, dude.
Right.
Fucking keep it.
Dude, you can't even get a pack of gum for $1. Remember when we were in high school and you used to go to Walmart or whatever and
yeah.
you get a pack of gum for $1? Fucking
Well,
5 gum?
To be fair, the prices probably went up also because of us. Because when gum like hit $1, we were like, fuck that, and we stole a bunch of it all the time.
I never did.
Oh, a bunch of kids would. Gum was like one of the easiest. You just go up there and no one gives a fuck about gum.
So don't forget about the epilogue.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it does go back. You are right. So it goes back.
The only connection in the entire story between two things.
It goes back to the main kid who wished his father would drag the hell. Now, first it starts off when our last story ends. It zooms out of the comic book to show the comic book is now on the side of the curb.
Trash.
And it is trash. The trash men come. They kind of throwing trash away. They find this cool comic book. They flip through it. Notice that...
The coupon for the voodoo doll is
Thank
missing.
you. The coupon. That's what I was looking for. The coupon for the voodoo doll was missing, meaning someone mailed it out. We go back to the dad. The dad is talking. The dad from the original story that we all started off with. He is talking to his wife, saying how he didn't get good sleep, and his neck is stiff. Next thing you know, he starts screaming in pain because of his neck. Keeps screaming. It zooms out, goes to the kid. He has the
voodoo doll for the dad.
And he's stabbing the motherfucker in the neck with a pin. Then he stabs it all the way through the throat. It ends.
Yep.
That's how it ends. A little epilogue. We'll ruin that for you because it don't really fucking matter.
Right.
But that's how the whole shebang ends. All 5 stories. Boom. Credits. We are done. Okay. Effect-wise. Anything that you couldn't live with the effects? Is there any effect that you were like, God, man, I cannot deal with that?
The Yeti looked pretty fucking bad.
He did.
The green plants looked pretty fucking bad.
Yeah.
It looked like they went to Walmart, picked out a whole bunch of like green feather boas, and just went, hey, hey.
You know what it reminded me of? Now, only some people might get this. The plants were growing lime green. There's only one plant that grows green like that and basically glows. Do you know what plant?
Pot.
Yes, the cannabis plant. So to me, I was like, is this whole house just getting engulfed by cannabis?
Right.
You know, just like the bright green. Fucking. And I was like, this might be a dream of mine, not a nightmare. To me, I wish they would have used different lights. Because, like, the whole blue and red was okay, but for every scary scene, and the red was always on the left, and the blue was always on the right, and it just reminded me, like, should I have fucking 3D glasses? I felt like I needed the 3D glasses, the red and blue ones.
Well, it, like, cut into, like, something happened, and
yeah,
then they were framed that way. Like, the framing thing's really bad. It gave me, like I said, Rocky Horror Picture Show-esque type of things.
See, those were horrible, but they were horrible for me in a funny way. So, to me, I felt like they were doing that to be like, haha. Maybe they weren't. Maybe they were seriously thinking that was a good framing. But I found it, like, just cheesy, like it being a comedy. What about the asteroid? Yeah. I thought they did good with the rock part when he was actually touching it. It flying through the sky looked like shit.
Yeah, it did.
Okay. Favorite actor?
Ooh. Stephen King. I think that
Me too. Stephen
hilarious.
And
He did a good job.
He did the best job out of all of them. I think he was given the best story also.
Everybody else was kind of cold in acting.
Yeah, they looked like they were scared to be funny with it.
Maybe not the best friend in the box or the crate story. He was actually pretty good, but everybody else was just...
They didn't give it 100%, you could tell.
Yeah.
They could tell. Yeah, most of the stuff, I thought it was cool to see all the painting and stuff that they had to do for the special effects, but it's so hard anymore going back and watching older movies and not judging them because of it.
Right.
Yeah, but I think that's all.
Can we get to my favorite part?
Yeah, if you got,
Budget.
Oh, yes.
What was the budget for this movie?
Oh, God. I'm going to say it was pretty high for back in the day because of all the makeup and stuff. I feel like you would have to pay a pretty penny. Okay. And it was 2 guys with a pretty big name that were making this, so it's not like 2 schmucks came up with this. Right. They're pretty good writers. So the budget, I'm going to say, is probably around $10 million. I feel like that's a good amount for back then.
Pretty close, $8 million.
$8 million, right. Okay.
Yeah, $2 million, nothing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But closer than what I have been on some of them.
Right.
So
I mean, kind of take inflation into account here. Times it by 5 almost. Damn. So the budget was actually like $40 million in today's money.
Right. That's it had to have a decent budget for the makeup and everything it had because that wouldn't be cheap.
So do you think it made money or lost money?
I think it made money.
Always trying to be positive.
Yeah. Honestly, like, I guess if I was on a game show and I really had to guess, I would guess it didn't make money because I haven't heard of it. It's not on any streaming sites. That makes me think it wasn't very popular. Popular enough to buy. But
it has spawned a whole bunch of spin-offs, like Creepshow 2 and Creepshow 3. So They wouldn't make 2 or 3 of them
unless it made profit.
unless it made profit.
So, if it did make profit,
Spoiler, it did make money.
It did make money. Once you brought in the sequels, it kind of obviously had to make money.
Right.
So I'm gonna say it made $20 million at box office.
21, pretty close. Did you see my numbers?
No.
Now for my second favorite part of the show. Rotten Tomatoes score. Because we do not have a rating for this one.
Yeah.
Because we didn't roll it. Because it was a fan suggestion. We actually get to have a blank score. So where do you think it was?
Where did it fall? I'm going to give this rating. If it was to me, it was a fun movie. A fun little movie to watch. I would watch it Halloween with my kids because it's fun. It's quirky. It's not so scary. So I feel like it would be received well. It having sequels, I think it was received well. I'm going to say 72.
Pretty close. 68.
68.
68
okay.
for an audience score, 75 for a tomato meter, which is, again, critics.
Right. I'm surprised that critics rated it so high.
Yeah.
I really am.
I would probably never watch it again.
No?
I enjoyed it,
Yeah.
but it's one of those movies that I don't see any merit in watching again. And it's nothing against the movie itself. It is totally against the genre. Once I see one horror movie, pretty much you've seen them all, but then you don't, like, watching another horror movie is just like watching the same one over and over again. Although this one does have, some little differences, but this is like watching 5 horror movies all at once. I'm good for my quota for the next, 2 years.
Yeah, it'd be like if we watched a bunch of rom-coms. It's the same shit.
Motherfucker, I love rom-coms.
Me too. But you can't watch 5 in a row. Maybe you
Stay
can.
tuned.
Maybe you can.
My favorite fact about this one,
Yeah.
shot in Pittsburgh.
Yes, it was. Yep. Brian, that's another reason he gave it to me. That's the fan who ended up giving us this movie. That's his name, Brian. He was so excited about it being made in Pittsburgh. That was one of the main points. That, Stephen King, because me and him would talk about Stephen King a bunch. So I already knew that. And Pittsburgh, if you ever look, there's a lot of movies that were filmed.
Dark Knight.
Dark Knight. That had Heinz Field in it, which is no longer Heinz Field.
Yeah.
That's a whole different discussion. But it's funny because a lot of the horror movies actually started here. Night of the Living Dead was filmed in PA.
Right.
And it used a car from Mercer, or it used a cop car from Mercer County.
Nice.
Yeah, it says Mercer County right on the cop car. See it right there, which is the county we live in.
Right.
Which is funny. Just come find us, I guess. I just gave away our county. Okay. So all in all, you said you wouldn't watch it again.
No.
I would watch it again only because if I had a bunch of family around, young kids or something like that, I don't really have to pay attention. And when they would ask a million questions, easy to answer.
I would watch it under one specific probably situation. If it was on in the background during Halloween time.
Right. That's basically what I mean. Kind of throw it on for everybody else. I think it would be a good mood for that. Other than that, you're right. It's fun to watch once.
Right.
It's one of those ones. Watch it once. A lot of movies we watch, I know we kind of tell you to go see them, but this one, it's such a unique characteristic. That's what I like about it. It has its own feel during the whole time because it is quirky and weird. So it's a very unique feel. It reminds me of the very first movie we actually did on here. Sparky's pick there. Do you remember?
Yeah, the Alien one.
The Alien one where it was kind of weird.
Yeah.
Different, quirky.
Had Elijah Wood in it.
Had Elijah Wood. It was like its own little feel. It had a cool feel to it. So anybody out there, go ahead, give it a watch.
The Faculty.
If you can find it. I know you can rent it for like $2.99.
Right.
In your opinion, would you rent it for $2? Me neither.
Probably not.
Me neither. I probably wouldn't rent it for $2. Find some way, or hopefully somebody has a DVD copy. If not, go ahead and pay that $2.
Right.
On that note, True, you ready to plug?
I'm ready to plug.
All right, let's go ahead and plug.
We're on Anchor, Apple, Spotify, and now Google Podcast at the Lunch Table PBJ. That's probably how you're listening to us right now.
Yes.
Keep doing that.
Keep doing that, folks.
Very important how we get views and things like that. Speaking of views, we're on YouTube at the Lunch Table PBJ. That's probably how you're watching us right now. If you are watching us, if you are watching, hi.
You know what's funny? I noticed rewatching our videos, we wave at that camera,
Yeah.
but really everything we release is off of this one.
Spoilers.
Oh, I'm sorry.
God damn it.
What? We got a backup camera. We always wave at the backup and not the main camera.
We're on Twitter at Lunch Table PBJ. That's how you take care of some of the polls. If you want to take a vote in, you can always stay updated on what we're doing through there. If you don't want to use Twitter, but you still want to stay updated on everything, we're on Facebook at the Lunch Table PBJ, as well as our fan page, The Munchies.
The Munchies.
Hop on there, start a conversation, or just let us know how we're doing. If you love this movie, or you hate this movie, let us know. Anyway, any reaction whatsoever, let us know.
Yes. However you're feeling, I don't care if your balls itch. Let me
Right.
know.
Right.
Let me know.
I don't care if you want to sell bouncy castles.
Yeah, let us know. We care about your feelings.
We're on TikTok and Instagram at the Lunch Table PBJ. CJ takes care of a lot of those, and he's doing a wonderful job. He's got a new system set up to where he is able to just provide a lot more content.
Yeah. Finally figured out how to easily break down a lot of the shit we're already recorded to put on.
Right.
Not that it really matters. How I figured it out.
And lastly, we're on Patreon at the Lunch Table PBJ. If you want to be the person that gives that little bit extra,
Yes.
if you want to be the olive on top of our PB&J,
That's it.
that's how you do it.
You know, that olive keeps us classy.
Right.
So if you want to keep us classy and keep us going.
Right. If not, we'll just have more conversations about poop.
Yeah. That's true. Anybody who listens knows that we love our poop combos.
Right.
And we'll just keep coming out with that.
Right.
Toilet talk.
Yeah.
Don't make us.
That might be a new
That might be our
category.
thing. Maybe we get famous for talking about shit all the time. Oh man, you got everything plugged?
I think so.
Oh, you can find both of our individual accounts pretty much on every social media. You can find Drew if you just want to follow Drew. You can find him at My Fat Friend Drew. If you just want to follow me, you can find me at The Addictive CJ on pretty much any social media site there you have going on. I don't know why you'd follow one of us and not the show, but if you're going to do that, that's the way to do it.
I get it because I'm pretty.
I know. I'm trying to keep my followers, okay? I don't want them all running to you. So on that foot, Drew, thank you for being you. Thank you for always being here. Thanks for putting up with me and my angry grumpiness.
CJ, thank you for your feathery hair and your pencil-thin mustache.
Yeah, I just did this mustache. It was getting burly. I'll show you some pictures. It was to the point I was eating it, and I was like, dude,
I don't think so.
I'll show you.
I don't think so.
Okay. Dude, I had random hairs growing in places I never had on my chin before.
You're growing
I'm
up.
growing.
Puberty.
My T count's going up. And as always, people, thank you for stopping by, listening to our podcast.
Thank you.
We appreciate you. We love all of you.
Appreciate you.
Thanks for stopping. It's getting a lot more fun around here.
See ya.